Hey everybody, ComixDad here with another video for you. Today we are discussing the future of the Lord of the Rings franchise and what a very questionable choice has been chosen by Warner Brothers for a writer of this new movie, this newest announced movie, Stephen Colbert.
What?
This is at geeksandgamers.com, by the way. Stephen Colbert to write new Lord of the Rings movie. Warner Brothers hands Middle-earth to fired political late-night host. This is written by Marvin Montanaro. And there we go. Colbert, famously known for that ridiculous vaccine. We'll leave it at that. But that's especially what Colbert's been known for over the last several years. But a new Lord of the Rings movie is officially in development at Warner Brothers, but instead of excitement, the announcement is already being met with skepticism, and for good reason. Late night host, soon to be former late night host, by the way, Stephen Colbert and his son are developing The Lord of the Rings Shadows of the Past, a new entry in the iconic fantasy franchise.
Why? The
project is being developed alongside Peter Jackson and longtime collaborator Philippa Boyens, with a story pulled directly from the early chapters of The Fellowship of the Ring that were not included in the original films. So, Stephen Colbert and his son, Peter McGee, which, by the way, if you pull up the IMDb page for Peter McGee, he has no notable credits for anything. He was a production assistant on his father's late night show. He was in The Desolation of Smaug as a, basically as a background character that had no, speaking lines whatsoever. Very forgettable, unnoticeable, probably didn't even actually have any, direct screen time. But yeah, he's a nobody, and he is helping write a movie for a very, very beloved franchise, along with his lunatic father, Stephen Colbert. But they are also working, though, with Peter Jackson and his team, who created the Lord of the Rings original trilogy, who also worked on the Hobbit, and that trilogy's movies as well. But this is very questionable at best. There was an announcement that Peter Jackson did and with Stephen Colbert. I was going to play it for you guys, but I really don't want to. I can't stand Colbert's voice. But this raises a far more uncomfortable question. Why is Warner Brothers handing Middle-earth to one of the most openly one-sided political figures in modern entertainment? Because it's Warner Brothers. Have you not seen what they're doing with Harry Potter, the Harry Potter show, and Professor Severus Snape, if you know what I mean? Colbert promises faithfulness. Fans have heard that before, though. Yeah, we have heard that before. We've heard that with, with, like I just mentioned, the Harry Potter series, where that's supposed to stay faithful to the material. But just one casting of a character alone is already spitting in the face of that statement. But also we heard that about Rings of Power, which was done by Amazon, which ended up being just complete nonsense, and that basically pissed all over the and disrespected the works of Tolkien regarding the history of Middle-earth and how Sauron rose to power and everything of that sort, everything that was covered in Rings of Power. That was a big spit in the face to the fans and to the source material as well. But Stephen Colbert, he has been on record many times over the years as being a very, very huge Tolkien and Lord of the Rings fan. So, I mean, as long as he can keep his political propagandist agenda out of the story, which is gonna be a very tall ask, because it's Stephen Colbert and that's all he does is political propaganda. But who knows? But this is basically gonna be a movie based around several chapters in the beginning of the book that the original trilogy of films did not tackle. So chapter 3 through 8. So 3 is company to Fog on the Barrow Downs. And basically what's going on in that, or at least what's supposed to happen in this movie, is that it's going to be like 14 years after Frodo has died. So Pip, Merry, and Sam are going to be going out to retrace their steps at the beginning of their adventure. So probably a bunch of like flashback stuff or something. That's my guess. But then at the same time, Sam's daughter is going to be going out and doing some sleuthing and solving some kind of a mystery or something like that. I don't know. But it's going to, hopefully, it'll involve Tom Bombadil. Because Tom Bombadil is a character that we've all wanted to see. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you know who I'm talking about. But we wanted to see Tom Bombadil in the original trilogy. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. We were hoping that we would maybe get that in the Ring of Power. Or Rings of Power, I should say. Rings of Power is utter trash. Yeah, I'm very hesitant about this. But basically, this part of the article is talking about how his political ideologies and his fanaticism over Donald J. Trump and his hatred for him, his TDS Orange Man Bad nonsense, and his propaganda that he pushes led to low ratings, causing CBS to cancel his show, which will be canceled sometime this summer. But he's proven time and time again that he's either unable to or unwilling to let go of politics, bringing up every chance he can get. That makes one wonder just how much Orange Man Bad rhetoric is going to now be imposed on the immortal world of J.R.R. Tolkien. Tolkien's work is not modern satire, it is not contemporary commentary, it is mythic storytelling built on timeless themes of friendship, sacrifice, good versus evil. It's set in a fantasy world, by the way. And audiences are right to question whether someone so deeply entrenched in modern political discourse can step into that world without dragging those instincts along with him. And Warner Brothers is definitely taking a big risk. And this is going to be coming out after The Hunt for Gollum. The Hunt for Gollum, I believe, is coming out later this year in 2026. But apparently they have enough of a script that for this movie that Colbert is helping write, because the project is already supposedly slated for a 2027 release. But also, the Rings of Power shadow still looms. Amazon's The Rings of Power was supposed to be a triumph, a massive prestige expansion of Tolkien's universe backed by an enormous budget. Instead, it became one of the most divisive fantasy projects in recent memory, bogged down with modern political ideology. Does that sound familiar, you guys?
That is one big pile of shit.
The lesson from that failure wasn't complicated. Audiences don't want reinterpretations of Tolkien filtered through modern sensibilities. They want Tolkien. That's the standard Colbert is now walking into. And since he is such a huge fan of Tolkien and of Lord of the Rings and the source material, I'm hoping that he and his nobody son can help write a story that'll actually respect Tolkien and his works. But I highly doubt that's going to be the case, though. But yeah. It's so final thoughts here on the article. Stephen Colbert clearly loves The Lord of the Rings. That's not in question, and it isn't in question. He's gone on to have conversations about Lord of the Rings on his shows, and he's definitely proven that he is a big Tolkien fanboy, which I can respect. But as the article continues, what is in question is whether Warner Brothers just handed one of the most beloved fantasy worlds ever created to someone whose public persona has been built on modern political commentary, and whether that will influence, or whether that influence will find its way into Middle-earth. Because if it does, fans already know how this story ends, and it's not one they're eager to watch again. Now, if early reviews for this come out once this movie is wraps up production and is getting ready to hit theaters in 2027, if it actually stays to a 2027 release window, depending upon how it's received, I may go see it, because I love Lord of the Rings myself. But if there's even a hint of Stephen Colbert's propagandist, leftist, globalist, TDS-ridden bullshit...
Trump is now President of the United States.
I'm going to boycott that movie outright. I watched the very first episode of Season 1 of Rings of Power, and I said, fuck this shit. Just to give you guys an idea of where I'm coming from. But I know there's plenty of people that are plenty more well-versed in Tolkien and Lord of the Rings and all that. But just from my standpoint with what I know, I definitely... I have very, very skeptical optimism because Colbert is such a fan. But also I have very, very... very justified concerns about him being involved in this project as well. But let me know in the comments what you think. Everybody, please hit the like button on the video. Please subscribe or follow if you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, or X.